Well, if you've ever wondered what it was like to be a farmer in the 1930s, you have a chance to go back in time while giving back this long weekend. Here's Cool 101.3's Justin Marshall with the details in What's Happening.
Hey, I'm Justin Marshall from Cool 101.3 with a look at what's happening around the Lakeland. Today, we're in Malag, Alberta, just outside of St. Paul. We're Hang in the 30s. A Cancer Society fundraiser is happening both Saturday and Sunday. I'm joined with President of Hang in the 30s, Martin Nandorf. For those that don't know what Hang in the 30s, Martin, is, can you tell us?
Okay, Hang in the 30s is a volunteer organization that raises money by donation to provide assistance to victims of cancer.
What are some of the events that people can look forward to this weekend, Saturday and Sunday here in Malag, Alberta?
Well, we have a sawmill, we have a shingle mill, we have a blacksmith shop, we got a Hudson Bay store, trapper's cabin. We have our new archives building with all the history of the last 20 years of Hang in the 30s. We have a school up on the hill, a church over there. We have a barber shop, and all these buildings are manned. So you can get a free haircut if you want.
That is awesome.
We also have up at the top of the hill, we have a new homestead site where a lady over there will be making sauerkraut.
Wow, a little blast in the past. What about for the kiddies?
Well, for the kids, we have pony rides, we have merry-go-round, we have a sandbox, we have rope making, branding, and they can also go on a wagon ride around in a trail way in the back.
Raising money to help people with cancer. Help 5,000 people in total. It's been going since 1999. Raised $262,000 last year, and we're hoping for $500 this year, right?
Well, it would be great.
Hang in the 30s this weekend, August 4th and 5th in Malag, Alberta. If you see an event you'd like featured on What's Happening, email Justin at 1013coolfm.com.
Well, we're going to turn to sports now. On Tuesday, Stanley Cup champion Braden Holtby had his day with the cup and brought it back to his childhood rink. The visit had the community of Lashburn buzzing, including some familiar faces. Our Brett Holden explains.
When the Washington Capitals and Braden Holtby won their first Stanley Cup, it sent fans through many emotions, including fans from the Midwest region.
I had I guess a gut feeling that they would take it, but everything was so up and down in the playoffs there and stuff. But it seemed like near, the last two series they came on so strong. It just kind of gave you that feeling that there was no knocking them out.
From a young age, Braden was infused with hockey, and Reese says that was evident with the way he played.
One of the things was he had all the hockey, the goaltending drills down at such a young age. And he'd go into the net and center himself, with his stick and whatever. He always knew where the center of the net was.
And this celebration was much bigger than the Holtbys anticipated and was quite special.
It's just surreal. It's just, it means so much to us that people will come out and want to see Braden in the Cup. And, most of these people are big supporters of, local hockey and the Washington Capitals. And we're just so appreciative that everybody would come out and stand in line for hours to see them.
I think that's, everyone would probably say that. That's something you think about a lot, what you do with your day with the Cup, because I think it's a pretty unique thing in hockey that you get to do. Not many sports get to do that, and especially I think it means even more when you're from a small town, a place where it hasn't been before. I think that's pretty special.
Reese says that this celebration is just as special for the community.
This is absolutely a dream come true for the small town of Lashburn. Our whole area and everything, to have somebody come out of this hockey system and go right to the NHL for one thing, and on top of it to bring the Stanley Cup here it's just a dream come true for the whole area.
The Stanley Cup's next stop is Southern Ontario. Brett Holden.
Super cool. Well, the Lloydminster Extreme made their most of their first appearance in the Alberta Junior B Tier 2 Lacrosse Championship, winning 9-6 over High River Heat. The Extreme were a surprise seed in the tournament after upsetting the Lakeland Heat the previous week. Lloydminster went 2-1 in the round robin to book a spot in the final, where their goaltending and solid play in both zones provided too much for the hosts.
Have some success at the end, and to win that championship with the guys we had, it was phenomenal. I couldn't be happier.
Murray will have a new challenge in 2019 as the team loses multiple fifth-year players.
It took us 5 years to build up to be the team that we are now, and it would be nice to be able to maintain and fight for championships every year, but next year is going to be a little tough for us, but I fully expect us to still be near that top.
You can catch more of the Extremes Championship tonight on The Gloves Are Off.
With marijuana becoming legal in the fall, its cousin hemp is also poised for growth. The difference between the two plants has long been a source of connection. The president of the Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance is creating more awareness with consumers of the differences between hemp and marijuana.
Our biggest challenge right now is on the feed side, which is with the CFIA. And that's just getting approvals for some byproducts to be able to deal with the processed products that come out of the food and fiber processing that are still have some value for the feed trade. But in terms of regulations, the new Cannabis Act outlines pretty clearly what you can and can't do with cannabis and with industrial hemp. The industrial hemp section is completely a separate section inside the Cannabis Act. So we're quite pleased with the language in that.
Industrial hemp is used in making things like clothing and building materials. Hemp overall has numerous food applications, including hemp protein and hemp oil. As the industry is being positioned for growth, Crawford is pleased with another development.
Hemp in general is being removed from the controlled substances list. So that's a huge change for us in terms of the stigmas that might be associated with hemp. And so as that becomes part of the acts going forward, we look for a greater opportunity for this industry to grow.
Crawford is introducing Ted Haney as hemp's new executive director. Haney's background is in the beef export sector dating back to 1992.
So in addition to continuing the great hemp heart and hemp seed oil food business of the industry, we will be expanding to more products entering the feed chain, natural health products, as well as the industry scales up, fiber.
With some 135,000 acres of hemp being cultivated in Canada, Haney says the industry is aiming to grow from $200 million to about $1 billion in revenue over the next 5 years.
This is Newcap Sports.
The retirement of an Alberta hockey legend, the MLB trade deadline, and a pair of local championships are just a few of the major stories for Lloydminster sports fans this past week. Here's Josh Ryan and Brett Holden with a brief look ahead at tonight's episode of The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome, folks, to The Gloves Are Off. Soon, coming up tonight, we have plenty of local talk, actually, about a couple of recent champions, the Lloydminster Extreme and the midget AAA Prairie Pirates, winning the AA championship. Unfortunately, the Northwest Prairie Pirates, not quite the result they wanted, but still a good result that we'll get into. Brett Holden will be my guest for that conversation, and we're going to lead off actually to what our first conversation on the show will be, just a little lead-in, which is Jerome McGinley's retirement. You, I know, an Oilers fan, but you're also a hockey fan. What do you think is the most significant accomplishment of his storied career?
Now, just as you said, Josh, he has had a very long career, and for me personally, just starting off is the 17 seasons that he played with one team. And in today's NHL, you don't see that too often. And yes, he did get traded by a couple times by the end of his career, but I think A, that, and B, the fact that he's won almost everything there is to win in the NHL and in a hockey career in general, even including a World Cup, which, if you're new to hockey, that's not a really new thing, I guess, or bigger thing to win, but still won it.
It might, of course, might certainly increase in terms of its prestige. I'm actually going to go a different route than you. I think the biggest accomplishment of Jerome McGinley's career is that he almost won a Stanley Cup. In fact, they did win. If Martin Gelinas' puck off the foot had been reviewed properly, it would have been called a goal. The fact that he took that team with that roster to a Stanley Cup final is remarkable. Obviously, you had the Oilers run, but even the Oilers run was backed by more of a group effort. It was an underratedly talented team, and he had one of the all-time great defensemen patrolling the blue line as well. This Calgary Flames team was about as lunch bucket as you can get. It was, hard hat, guys who work hard, grinders, speedy grinders at that, but not a lot of goal scoring. Craig Conroy was the second most relevant player on that 2004 roster. And I love me some Craig Conroy, but he wouldn't have been a third-line center on a lot of other teams in the NHL. That Jerome was able to be an MVP candidate and take them to a final in a stacked Western Conference is remarkable to me.
Okay, I totally agree with you.
Okay, good, as long as we agree. We'll disagree on a few other things, though, when we go to the Gloves Are Off, coming up right after the news here.